Good evening and welcome to Oslo United WFC with myself and our kid Matt Crane once again for Ben and Matt's Saturday Night Live. How are we, Matt?
Yeah, not too bad, pal. How are you?
So, mate. So. It's been a long week at work, you know, but I'm glad it's the weekend now. Plenty of football tomorrow, so bring it on.
It
exactly is, pal. So, because we don't want to, we're fucking don't want to go overtime today, because this is what happened last time. We went well over time, and we're just going to drive straight into it, Matt. And Oslo pre-season.
Yep.
What is your memories of Oslo pre-season, pal?
Do you know what? This is going to sound really, really funny, but do you know when we landed on the plane?
Yeah.
Remember what Natalie shouted out?
I don't actually know, because my memory's a bit fuzzy.
So we touched down in Oslo, and obviously we timed Mary Earps, haven't we? And Shivy wasn't there, and we were like, this is a bit weird. And next minute, she tweeted about the baby, hadn't she? And
of course, yeah.
Landed, and we were getting ready to come off, and Natalie goes, hey guys, Shivy's pregnant. And the whole plane just went and turned around, like, because obviously I think you were further forward. And we were back.
A bit further forward, yeah.
Oh, mate, I was laughing my head off. It was the funniest thing ever. So that was my first memory of Oslo, was Natalie announcing to the plane about Shiv expecting a baby, and everybody was just like, who? It's so funny. But yeah, obviously, I mean, after that, it was just chaos in that hostel, wasn't it? I remember the very first night, it was absolutely boiling. Do you remember? We didn't sleep till about 4 a.m. It was about 30 degrees. Because I had the genius idea.
Breathe, mate. You struggled to breathe in that room, you know. It was so hot. You had the window wide open. There's still no air coming in.
Well, I was next to my bunk, was next to that window. But I had the genius idea of hot water. Well, I say hot water bottle. Get a water bottle. Usually a hot water bottle. Water. And it went in the freezer, lad. And I had that all night. It was the best little invention I'd ever come up with for that night. But yeah, lack of sleep. Then we were up at 7 because everyone, obviously, it was training day, wasn't it? And everyone was excited.
Yeah.
But I just, that party in the room. In fact, I look back, I think, did I send you the video the other day?
You did, mate. You did,
remember you dancing and me singing to some, it was 5 it was. And
5, yeah.
But the Tuesday, obviously, we got up, didn't we, early doors. Went to Holmenkollen, the ski slope. Because I know, evening, John, I know some people zip wired down at the cost of some ridiculous price, like 60, 70 quid. But yeah, the ski slope was good. It was the very sort of top of the peak one of Norway. We could see out all sort of below us. Went to the Opera House as well, evening Omar. And then obviously training, it chucked it down. Do you remember?
Yeah, that training got absolutely soaked, didn't we?
Because I remember you did the interview, didn't you?
Well, yeah. Me and Natalie did the interview. I can't remember if Deborah did it as well. But I definitely knew it was me and Natalie did it anyway, you know, because it was all about my tattoos on my legs and everything, you know.
Yeah.
I think that's what they were more interested in more than anything. I think they spoke more about the women's side to Natalie than to me. It's more about my legs and that.
Yeah.
But it would have Coca-Cola shorts, didn't it?
Nobody's ever forgiven them Coca-Cola shorts, mate. They're bright red. But do you know what was good about that?
Decent shorts, then, mate.
I say what was good about that training session was just the fact that you got an insight, didn't you, to the workings. Evening, John. You got an insight to sort of, you know, how Casey works, and you really saw her work the players hard, even though it was in front of fans. I just remember thinking, you know, like what a great thing that they've done, because obviously it's not something to do here. And it was great that we, as sort of, you know, Barmy Army, could go and see how they train and how sort of what goes on behind the scenes, and then see the newbies in action. And obviously the local fans could come over. So I thought that Tuesday was brilliant. You know, like I say, fair play to the club. And obviously the players came over after, didn't they, as well, and had a chat and a couple of pictures and that. But it was good. I don't know what your memories are of that training session.
Well, wasn't that the one where that Jackie got to see a flag for the first time? Pretty sure it was. And Chess holding it up, if I remember correctly. Because I think I took the picture and it went pretty viral on the old socials, you know, because obviously Jackie being the top summer signing of that summer, you know, transfer window, and you know, and just that whole picture was it went pretty. I remember it going pretty viral. I was over in in Oslo. That training session, mate, it was good though, because we got to see different aspects and different elements to the way Casey and her coaches were working. And obviously, we also had that McCallson, didn't we? Well, McCallson was joining in.
Yeah, the goalkeeper. I forgot about that.
Yeah, but I think before, obviously, she was with United. She was with, I do forgive me, I can't remember what team she was with. But she was there training with our keepers, if you remember correctly.
I do, yeah. And I also remember afterwards on that fence, there was like a little barrier. Wasn't Millie Turner capture in Norway? Possibly, John. I can't remember.
I think she was,
I remember afterwards, because obviously I'd, as people know, big fan of Mary, and I'd obviously seen Mary before. And you remember that? I jumped on the fence, and the fence just went like that. It was straight, and it just went diagonal. But it was, do you know what? Top day. Like I said, it got soaked. It was free. It had gone from 30 degrees to like 5 degrees. It was freezing and wet.
I think we bought the Mancunian weather was that day, didn't we? We bought the Mancunian weather was absolutely chucked it down. And to be fair though, fair play though, the people that were there to watch them train, even the locals, they all stayed around. They didn't all like go and disappear or anything, which was good to see that there was interest in the women's side from the locals, because let's be fair, the men were over there at the same time, so they could be forgiven that some of them would have, because I think the men's game was on not long after that training session, wasn't it? So you could be forgiven that most of them might have scouted.
Because I think, I think, was it Nat? No, or did Nat go? I can't remember. I remember Dave and Mark going, but I do.
Dave and Mark definitely went. I think Nat stayed with us, didn't she?
Yeah, because we went to that bar, which we'll get onto shortly, and met a couple of other ex-Reds. But I remember, like you said, the locals sort of hung around and they chatted about, because obviously we played Vålerenga, didn't we? And then the second game you and Nat went to, was it something with S? I can't remember. But it was good because, like you say, they kind of interacted and they asked about sort of the team, and they were obviously, like you say, Man United fans, Man United women fans, and I think that's kind of, it's what you want from a tour. Obviously, you want to boost the profile. With it being a fairly new team, because obviously, let's not forget, this was after our first season. Do you want to start off with that question John's asked there, and then I'll sort of answer after you?
Yeah, I mean, the first impressions were pretty decent, to be fair. You could see, like, when you was watching Jackie on the ball, even just in that training session alone, you could see how sharp her passing was and how quick her footballing brain was. It must have been like 2 or 3 seconds quicker than most of the players that we were used to seeing week in, week out. It's got that extra little sharpness, that extra little intelligence to our game. Yeah. And even then, even in that sort of the very first time you sort of saw her up close and on the ball, you think, oh, she's got a little something special there. Who else we have? Jane Ross as well, didn't we? I believe. Yeah, Jane Ross.
Do you remember that goal?
Yeah, training. Yeah.
So I'll tell the story. I jokingly said, I think there was people that obviously hadn't watched her and I'd seen her before. And I jokingly said, didn't I? I said, watch this now. I said, she'll get the ball edge of the box. She'll take one touch, she'll spin, and it'll go top corner. And literally, how long was it, lad? 2 or 3 minutes later.
Yeah, exactly.
She literally did that. Back to goal, one touch, spun, and arrowed it, didn't she, from about 30 yards. I just remember laughing because at the time I was joking. And I remember, I think I was stood next to you and Nat, that little umbrella that we tried sharing.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
And I just remember you both just laughing like, oh my days, has that actually just happened?
And also, Haley Labb was out there as well,
Yeah. But obviously, they were coming off the back, weren't they, of the World Cup?
Yeah,
so we didn't have a full-strength team.
No.
It was like... But I think, to sort of answer John's question, we saw Mary.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to get on to Mary, but...
Go on then, go for it. I mean, obviously, we saw Mary. She came out to warm up, didn't she?
Yeah.
She didn't play. Obviously, we played Rambo.
Yeah, played Rambo. Because I think, as you said, just giving players that little extra rest after the World Cup. So, and so Rambo played, obviously, against Vålerenga. To be fair, going on that Vålerenga game, if I may, just for slightly, we had about 7,000 plus fans there, which was actually quite decent, I thought.
Yeah.
For a women's game that's, I don't know how well advertised it was over here. I don't think it was really advertised over here, but I don't know how well it was advertised in Norway. But to get 7,000 plus fans there was quite amazing. You know what I mean? We all had behind the goal. Do you remember? We all hung our flags up all along across.
Do you know what? from that trip, that is my favourite picture, the one that Sully took of us all.
That's right, yeah.
That goal where there's obviously we didn't fit everybody on, but there was a whole row, and obviously, we met people out there that we kind of interacted with on Twitter.
Yeah, it's really good because Sully, of course, people that don't know, Sully is one of the presenters or main presenter on MUTV. So he was out there, and what's his name? Bjorn Jordic, he was out there as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, Bojan, yeah, that's it. And who else did we bump into? Blomqvist as well, because we went, didn't we? So obviously, well, we'll get to that. We'll finish off with a question. Obviously, players, but I think from memory, from the lineup against Vålerenga, I think only Haley and Jane, I think, started from the newbies. Because obviously, like we say, Mary was in the stands. Well, on the bench. But yeah, Haley and Jane, and I think, they did well. We knew what we're getting from Haley. And I think for me, Jane was, because it was one of the months we played a weird formation, wasn't it? There was different people in different positions. Because I think we saw Smithy at left back, Charlotte Newsham came on, so it was good to see some of the devs. But Haley was great. Obviously, Jane was looking lively and finding her feet. Maria Edwards came on because she nearly scored that goal from about 30
yards. Do you remember that went in? I think the whole end would have erupted, mate.
So obviously this is when we first got to know of Maria a bit better, wasn't it? We'd sort of heard of the name, and she came on with about, 10 minutes to go, maybe.
About 10 minutes roughly,
on the right wing, and she got the ball and she ran and she beat two players, and it's one of them where you see it and you think, oh, this kid can play. 16 she was as well, and we all stood up, didn't we? And we got there, and she was getting closer, and sort of everybody was like up off the seats, and then she just hit it, and it must have literally been about that far off dropping in. It just clipped the top of the crossbar, and I just remember thinking, wow, in that 5-10 minute spell, she looked quality. But it was good because, like I say, Charlotte Newsham came on and got about 20 minutes at left back. It was just a run out, wasn't it? Really, just we kind of enjoyed it. Like I say, obviously we got beat, but at the end of the day, it was, it was what it was. It was just
we got beat 4-1.
Run out.
At the end of the day, it was a pre-season run out. I think were they a bit way through their league? They was already playing in their league.
Yeah, they were partway through the league.
Yeah, so
they'd
already gained that match rhythm and stuff,
plus a tournament.
Yeah, so but Jessica was.
Do you want to then talk about the second game against?
Oh, yeah, the second game. Yeah. I can't remember.
Do you want to talk about the Sandefjord game, if that's how you say it?
Well, before I get into that, I just want to give a quick shout out to Sandefjord because for me, that place was beautiful. I thought it was better than Oslo. I really did. I think me and Nat really enjoyed it out there, because obviously it was just me and Nat that stayed out there once the rest of you went, obviously, because it was pretty late on that this game was announced. So I remember Nat doing a nothing before we flew out going, what do you mean this game? How come they're not told us on that, So I remember that saying, I don't care how I do it, I'm staying out there. So
somebody mentioned it, didn't they? I think we'd all booked the flights and accommodation. And then we got there and we landed and somebody was like, oh, you're coming on Saturday as well? And we're like, what do you mean Saturday? We're going home Friday. That was a game on Saturday. Couldn't believe it because obviously weekend as well. A lot of us were off work and could have made it. Gutted.
Yeah, but anyway, as I said, but Goodbye Cook me and that stayed over. Shout out to Knut. I hope I pronounced his name right. But and this is for me. When everyone mentions a top red, this is what a top red is for me. He went out of his way to put us up at his house, free of charge, no money, no money. Didn't ask for any money for food or anything like that, bills or anything like that. He just put us up for a few days, and he drove us everywhere. He drove us to the game. He drove us, and for me, mate, I have to just give him a big shout and a big thank you because he was absolutely top bloke, mate. I couldn't, Sandefjord itself is such a nice place. And do forgive me, I can't remember the team that they played, but we won 5-0, and this is where Jane Ross scored and Jess Sigsworth, Haley Ladd, Ella Toon, and Molly Green scored.
Haley Ladd scored as well from memory because I remember Nat.
Yeah, I've got Haley Ladd down here, mate. Yeah.
Do you know what? I think the team was actually called Sandefjord from memory. It was something like FK, Sandefjord.
Yeah, SK.
I'm sure it was.
SK Kivina or something like that. Sandefjord Kivina, something like that.
That might
be. Again,
be.
I'm probably butchering the names as usual. But, you know, it was just really, it was, to be fair, mate, that had a decent turnout. I couldn't tell you exactly the exact numbers of turnout that was there, but really decent and really decent little pokey ground, like, you know. And we hung up the flags that we had left with us, and it was really good, mate. Honestly, really enjoyed it. It was an enjoyable game. You know, I just thought, wow, you know, we just being not in our element, just being singing a lot of singing, and then we had a few of the locals, like especially the younger children, they was all clapping along and trying to get involved. Just to answer John's question here, sorry, right quickly. Yes, he is on Twitter. I shall tweet you later on with his Twitter handle because I can't remember off the top on my head. But yeah, that was really good, mate. And honestly, mate, Sandefjord was so beautiful, man. You'd have loved it. Natalie was in her element there, so you know it was all good. So I don't want to spend too long on pre-season because it was pre-season. And I want to just dive into the start of the season. And our opening 3 fixtures, man, was
brutal.
Arsenal, Liverpool in the league. That's pretty tough going. But the Manchester City one, though, and when they announced that it was going to go and be played in the big council house instead of the small council house, what was your feeling about that? Did you think that was, that's actually a really good idea, or do you think it was better suited to maybe the smaller venue?
It was one of them where, obviously, it was our debut season in the WSL, and obviously anybody that may know I've watched, for whatever reason, you might have been absolutely balmy to see City. They don't fill that ground, and I think it holds about 4,500, 5,000. It's not many anyway, maybe 6, could be wrong. Anyway, so I thought that'd be perfect. I thought, yeah, we'll fill that. It'd be great. Derby Day, fill the mini council house, and they said Etihad, and I sort of thought, well, hang on a minute, Etihad, 50,000. The men don't fill it. How are we going to fill it? You know, in general, like not just our fans, but theirs as well. You know, for what they have. So I was thinking I was against it, and the reason I was against it was probably similar to why I'm against it now. I don't feel that unless your stadium's full or near full, 3/4 full, whichever, that it's worth sort of dabbling with, because we've seen it before where teams have gone and they've used the men's stadium and there might have been 5,000-6,000, but the atmosphere, because you're all so spread out, has been absolutely terrible. But to the credit with this, typical City, couple of freebies, Happy Meal tickets, as I call them. Go McDonald's, they give you a ticket. Only way to get it full. So, yeah, they opened up the whole bottom tier, didn't they? And I think a small section above us as well, because I remember people in their wisdom chucking stuff down, as you do. But, yeah, no, 31,000, 32,000. Enjoyable game. Completely outsung them. And I think, obviously, we got our own section, didn't we? Yeah. This was the first time that it was known in the women's game for a designated away section. So it already started something off there. And then there's obviously, you know, reds dotted about. But yeah, a thoroughly enjoyable atmosphere, I'm going to say. I think the game itself was interesting because I remember the build-up and everybody, obviously we had the little fan zone, didn't we, in the cycling centre. And I remember obviously we walked across and all I kept hearing and reading on Twitter was going to be 5-0, going to be 6-0, going to be 4-0, going to absolutely batter them. I just remember just laughing, thinking, okay, we'll see. So obviously we get in, didn't we? Like I say, outsung them. First half, I think we pretty much held our own. I think that Jane Ross chance is the one for me where the keeper, I mean, she didn't place it too well. It was fairly-ish straightforward for the keeper, but what a save that was. And I think if that goes in at 0-0, you're talking a different game. I think they should have had a player sent off because I believe the forwards, I think she was stamped on Mary, one of them. Don't know which forward. So for me, yeah, but I think more than held our own. I think obviously slight loss, 1-0. Didn't expect to sort of have so many chances to be in it. You know, we're talking a well-established side that's played Champions League, but I think just enjoyed it for the atmosphere and the fact that we outsung them and pretty much filled the stadium for them. There you go. Rob says 2-0. But yeah, and then obviously we concede to just a ridiculous lapse in concentration. We didn't even clear it properly. I think, Jackie, Jackie, because I think everybody said it was Tooney. I remember that now. Jackie at the post, and somebody should have squared it as well, and we didn't, and we went for goal. It's all coming back now, thanks to the fans in the comments. But yeah, and again, we definitely did have chances. This is what I'm saying. We went, and I just like to say, I knew that we wouldn't get rolled over and we wouldn't get hammered because it was a derby, and it was like, I think they were massively up for it, and you could tell 31,000 people all cheering them on. So I say held our own and should have, in my view, come away with at least a point minimum. But it was one of them where it was the start of something that could have been good and special.
Yeah, to be fair though, mate, that 31,000 man was actually, in a way, I think it was a good advertisement for the women's game in a way, because I know a lot of Reds that I know that go to the men's game all the time, never touched the women's game in their life. A lot of them were dotted around the ground because obviously they've got tickets on the day. You could rock up on the day and then get tickets for the home end. So a lot of them went in with the families and everything. So you're right though when you said earlier on that was plenty of Reds dotted around even in the home ends.
Yeah.
So, but it was just. I again, like yourself, I expect to be in the mini council house, But when they said the Etihad, I thought, yeah, that's going to be interesting. I wonder how much we would get. You know what I mean? And it was 31,000, well over 31,000. That's just goes to show that there is a little bit of hunger there, for people that may not watch the women's game week in, week out. But you put a Manchester derby in front of their faces, you put United Liverpool in front of their faces, you are going to fill that stadium pretty well. You know what I mean? My only concern if ever something like that came to Old Trafford, because how vast and big Old Trafford is, and that's exactly why Casey doesn't want it there. You don't want 15,000, 20,000 inside Old Trafford. It looks bare empty. Do you know what I mean? You want to get it to where you at least getting 50,000, 60,000 in there. But I do think, to be fair though, if the club advertised properly and gave everybody quite a bit of notice to say, look, we're going to have a game at Old Trafford, sometime in the near future. I'm not going to say it's going to happen next year or the year after, but sometime in the near future, and Casey agrees to it. If United advertise it properly, mate, there's no reason why we couldn't get 50, 60k in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
especially against one of the bigger teams.
Absolutely. I think for me as well, you talk about their advertising. I think for me that's massive because I remember, obviously with Barmy Army, we had to do a sort of block group booking for the section that we're in. And there were so many problems. People were told by United to go to City. City said go to United.
Yeah, I remember that.
Online, you went to book through United and it put you in the City end, and it was shambolic from sort of City's point of view. Obviously, I don't think we helped ourselves, but people were sort of confused. And like you say, I think the advertising wasn't great, but it did fall on a men's international break, which was perfect for timing. It was just poorly marketed. And I think, like you say, with proper marketing, I mean, I know we've got obviously the Women's Euros next year, haven't we? And the first Lioness game is at Old Trafford. So it'd be interesting to see attendance for that because, I was down with Natalie and David and Sue down at Wembley. And the Lionesses, I think, was it 79,000, which was like a record for a friendly, obviously barring the Olympics that was there. And again, it'd be good if it was packed. I have no issues with it, but I think, like John said there, pack out LSV. Let's get regulars, because it's like we had that game at the Etihad, and we also had the Reading game with 5,000 fans. And then the weeks after, it was back to 2,000. So I think once we build that fan base and it consistently comes back, then, like John says, and I'm sure most people would agree, pack out LSV. And once it's consistently selling out, and I don't just mean like 4 or 5 of the big games, I mean like, every game of the season, every home game packed out consistently for a season or two, then maybe say, right, well, actually, we're playing Arsenal. Let's give Old Trafford and we'll open the lower tiers of space and properly promote it.
Yeah, I agree with the pack out LSV if we can possibly pack it out. As John said, if any team can, we can, you know. And it'd be nice to see a proper packed out LSV. Perhaps the enticement of Champions League football in the future might, you know,
hopefully
just tip that scale in the balance. You know, so I think that's one for the future. I think someone else has echoed that same thing now. Yeah, week night in the Champions League, hopefully, you know. Good old Robert's already on that point before even I got it across there. he's
never
thinking,
stops,
you know,
that lad. He's on the ball.
Great minds think alike. Anyway, moving on. Our next game in the league was our first home game of the season at LSV in the WSL, and that was Arsenal. It was a bit of another toughie. That one, I think we held our own. You know, they didn't look nothing special. I've always said this about Arsenal. Maybe the Conti Cup, you know, but they never looked really anything special against us every time we played them. Really, I don't think. You know, so do you know what I mean? And there's always that bit of aggro as well, because I think, what was it, we booed off, was it Nobbs?
We booed Jordan Nobbs and we booed Beth Mead, because I remember after the game, Nat said, "Oh, Beth, you come in signing for us," because she's a United fan. She went, "No, you booed me." And I'm like, wow, proper spat the dummies out. But like you said, I think, did it take about the 88th, 89th minute? Because I always remember that Mary double save that was absolutely class. Point blank.
I was going to get on to that. I didn't even notice there. I was like, that, but you beat me to it again. But
yeah, but like you say, we more than held our own, and again had chances, and it was one of them where we came and, like say, we give them a good game, and it was last minute again, kicking the teeth. But again, 1-0, a very close two top teams, and it was one goal in between it. And obviously, like you mentioned, in season 1 in the Conti Cup against Arsenal, 2-1 loss. Again, it's not been hidings, you know, like people allegedly thought.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get on to. I mean, like, a lot of every time, especially last season, there was always like, "Oh, you're going to get hammered. You're going to do this. This player won't do this. This player won't do that." And the next game, though, one of the players was, you know, like Jess Sigsworth. People are like, "Oh, she won't score this. They won't play like that now. They're going to get found out." Well, let's be fair, mate. We held our own. Do you know what I mean?
Looks like John Foster walked, Ben.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I think John walked up 4 hours. Either
that or he's ridden on a camel.
I think he got his unicycle out and was pedalling up the M6.
It's on them speed cameras.
Yeah.
There's 2 crashes on the motorway there, yeah.
2 crashes on the motor. He was one of them. On his unicycle.
Yeah.
Only mess him.
Oh, dear.
But like you say, yeah, I think obviously more than held our own, and it was one of them once where it was like 2 games, and I think we'd have been happy just picking up any amount of points, really. Obviously, as a new team, 1 point, 3 points, you know, and sort of seeing where it went. But do you want to move on to the absolute hammering of the Scousers in front of 3,000 people? I say hammering. We won.
The 2-0 win, yeah. I was going to. That's next in my notes, lad. Hey, great minds think alike. That was good though, mate. You know, because we come off 2 difficult opening fixtures, to come up against a team that we beat in the Conti Cup the previous season, and it's always that extra spice when you play Liverpool. You know, it always brings out that extra bite in the fans as well. You know, the extra bit of passion and everything. You know, that's here we go. John's got 2 letters for us. Again, taking words out of my mouth. You lot are too good for me, I tell you. I was going to say...
He's got Wikipedia up, Anti, in front of... No, I'm joking.
I was going to say that Lauren James was really came into her own that night, you know. It was just... Or that day, should we say, whatever you want to say. But yeah, it was just like, you know, it was just... There's nothing better than beating the Scousers, mate. You know, it's just like one of those fixtures where you have to win at all costs. I don't care how we do it. Just do not lose that game.
Yeah.
What was your best memories of that game, if you can remember that far back?
Do you know what? I can, and you say best memories. I mean, obviously, like you say, it's a Scousers, so we always raise our game. And I think pre-game, there's, like I've said before, there's a lot of this.
There was a lot of that,
a lot of talking, and people piping up. Yeah, a lot of piping up. Yeah, Vicky, no longer in a job now. See, that worked out well. Slagging off the fans, but it was funny because that actually gave us extra motivation. She was like, "Oh yeah, we go there and we know it's hostile and we know this and we know that and rah rah rah." And yeah, didn't work out very well, did it? Because they come out crying after. But no, I think first half, I remember we struggled. It wasn't pretty, and we went in at half time 0-0, having missed a hatful of chances, thinking, "God, here we go." Like we'd sort of wasted in the first two games, but eventually, like John says, LJ came alive, tore them apart, scores a goal, and then we got one right at the end, didn't we? I think we got a penalty. I don't know who scored. I remember getting it would have been Zellum actually, because she takes them all. Right at the end, it sort of sealed it. And I remember, like say, about 3,000 roughly, maybe more, in attendance, and it was top atmosphere, very very good. I remember afterwards the players, they go, "Oh, we love that. We love that you were booing their manager and the chants and all," and it was great. And it was just they come out with their excuses, like I say, mouthing off, but. No, I think it was good because it settled the nerves. It was obviously third game, and I think the pressure was on us to sort of pick up the 3 points and give them a bit of a hiding. I mean, it wasn't hiding, but we got the job done. So for me, it was like brilliant. We've got our first 3 points of the WSL, and then for me, it was just a case of kicking on because the games are a tad easier after that, weren't they?
Yeah. But speaking of Liverpool, though, I can't talk about Liverpool without talking about that absolute dross of a pitch they have got at Tranmere that year. Do you remember? It was all set to go. I can't remember who was driving it with me and you. We were all set to go. Yeah, it was me, wasn't it? Because I remember I filled up the night.
We got to the petrol station.
And then you was like, "It's off, Ben, lad." I'm like, "You what?" It's off.
That was in the new year, wasn't it? Because we had Birmingham the week before postponed. Do you remember?
That's right,
I think snow or waterlogged about mid-December. We then had Liverpool after Christmas, and then we had Chelsea with them Hurricanes or whatever they were, and that got postponed, and then they curtailed the season.
But mate, I'm looking forward to that one as well because obviously I missed the first sort of away game against Liverpool in the Conti Cup the previous season, following the men's team. But I was dead buzzing for this one, you know what I mean? I was like, yeah, it's Liverpool, isn't it? I'm always up for it. And I was just gutted, that. Where did we go? We went to Tesco, didn't we? After on a bit of brekkie. I was absolutely spitting our feathers, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we did.
Spewing about this game getting called off. I was just, oh my day, mate.
I do. I remember, going back to sort of the start of the season. Go on.
Go on, you finish, sorry, mate.
No, just saying, obviously, going back to the start of the season, because obviously that Liverpool game was later on, but the home game, like I say, just to get the job done for me and sort of kick on from there was good, 2-0, clean sheet, happy days.
What was I know it was a short season and everything, but what was the most standout performance of that season, do you think, of our first attempt at the WSL, our first shot at the WSL? What's game sort of stands out in your mind? It doesn't matter if it's a win, loss, or a draw, but that one game when you thought the atmosphere was cracking, the performance was good, and it was just an overall great day out.
Two of them, actually. I cannot mention last season without mentioning that free kick. I can't. And I think we all know the free kick. The Derby game, Conti Cup, 4,500 played Man City at home. We won 2-0. Gets a free kick. Katie Zellum. Do you know what? I'm glad I videoed that because it was funny. Lined it all up. It went in. I did. Yeah. That blew up on Twitter. It went crazy. I tweeted it about a minute after. There you go, Conti versus City. It's everybody's moment, that. And I just remember because it was funny because it goes in and then the camera is just everywhere of everyone. Oh, it was brilliant. I think just one beating them, having come close a few weeks before, because obviously this was the first Conti game, wasn't it? So it had been about October time. And then obviously Jess scored as well and bullied a few of their defenders, and obviously they had one sent off, which made it even better. I just think you cannot mention last year without that Conti Cup win. And then the next one for me, again, Conti Cup, was Everton away.
Oh, I thought he was going to mention the other one afterwards, but
the Leicester one.
The Leicester one, mate, yeah.
You get me in trouble with my friends. No, I'll bring up that in a minute. But the Everton away win, and do you know what? Obviously, we battered them again 3-0. But what stands out was when Amy Turner, she started off at right back and she got the ball and she was moving with it. And I thought, here we go, she's going to give it. And everybody just went to the other side. It was weird. And she carried on going and she carried on and a bit more. And she got in their box and I thought, here we go, Tooney's back post, just going to square it, tapping. Nope. Drills it, far corner. And it just curved in, didn't it? And I was like, whoa. Robert, that was the first year we got in the bigger terrace as well, wasn't it? As you come
That's
in,
right, yeah.
Because last year it was under that roof, and this year, but this second time round we filled that terrace, and oh my days, the atmosphere. But just that goal from Amy, it was just weird because Amy's not known for finishing with her feet, shall we say? She's more of like a bit of a power header, and yeah. Oh, John, I'm coming on to that one now. Third and final favourite one, Leicester. Reluctantly. No, to be fair, but yeah, we did deserve it. Leicester, and having scored 4 the year before, we thought do well to do it again. Not only does Tooney score 4, I always say she scored 6 because she scored the 6 and the ref didn't give it, and it was good couple of yards off the line, over the line, but she did get 5 that did count, and I think fair play, but 5 for Tooney was brilliant, but like John says, Hayley Ladd, she got that ball, and he says the Cantona celebration. It reminded me of that Beckham goal, the early goal from near halfway. It was a little bit, not quite halfway, but it was a little bit. It was about 35 yards, and she saw the keeper off a line, and she just hit it, and I was like, "What's that?" And then it carried on going, and we thought it was just an overhit pass. It carried on, it just dropped in. And she just stood there, like John says, with two arms up like that. And it was funny because I just remember smiling because I thought she's just so like calm and composed. She didn't go on a wild celebration. She just, like you said, just Cantona-esque, just 2 arms up like that. And I just remember just smiling. I was like, wow, it was one of them where I don't know. You celebrated it, but it was because it was so good. You just had to take a minute to like reflect and appreciate and just kind of think what on earth has just happened. It was weird. It was like not even on. Do you know what I mean? You didn't expect it, just hit it. And I think, out of all, I say all, she's not scored many. Obviously, the Reading from this year sticks out as a last minute winner, but quality again. And yeah, I think them 3, it's weird how they're all Conti Cup. Had the season carried on, it might have been another game, who knows? But I think for me, like I say, Man City,
I think if the season carried on, I think we'd have waited for another decent Conti Cup run. I think we'd have probably gone all the way to the final, mate. To be fair, because we was getting really ahead of steam. Beating absolutely smashing Leicester. I know you've got good friends at Leicester, so I don't want to.
It's all right. No, it's okay.
But, especially coming off smashing Leicester, you'd have thought. If it wasn't for the Rona, we'd have probably gone on an absolute run. I think we'd have had the belief behind us, and I think we could have gone all the way.
Scored.
Yeah, if he scored. That's not up.
No, listen, like I say, obviously it's always United number 1, but like I say, I do have a couple of good friends at Leicester. But listen, we're not thinking, but don't make him cry. Oh, here he is. Where's the other chuckle brother? He must be in the comments somewhere. But yeah, like I say, just good memories, all Conti Cup. So yeah, good times. My one, I think it's. I don't want to sound too negative because it was a 1-0 loss, but it was the trip to Kings Meadow when we took over the so-called Chelsea Ultras end. Yeah,
Ultras end, eh?
Mate, that vultures trying to make the flags.
Oh, and aggro trying to get the flags up and all.
That's why I say ultras, not ultras.
But again, just a tad under 5,000 all there, And I thought the atmosphere that day was pretty decent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Obviously, we tried taking over the so-called ultra end. That's a good point. When are we on Netflix? I think it was actually supposed to be Amazon Prime. There was supposed to be a Chelsea thing, but they probably got curtain tail, no doubt.
I heard there was a show called Chuckle Vision that took over, you see, with him and Gareth. So I think we're not on yet.
But yeah, but I just remember the atmosphere being top, and then because they were caning us, this ground's got the best atmosphere. They got the best fans and all this lot. You know, I to be fair, apart from the few that were just to my right hand side, I thought it was an appalling atmosphere from Chelsea.
They were probably better
I was expecting raucous atmosphere, and it was just nothing.
Well, it's because they got one word.
Well, yeah, Chelsea.
One word. It's just Chelsea. It's like City. They're just struggling for vocabulary, these folk.
But mate, I'll tell you what though, my lasting memory from that game though was I was spitting my absolute feathers out about that. You know what I mean? I get told I like to play I like to play the Joker sometimes, and I like to say that it was a dive, and she should be part of the Olympic diving squad. But people say don't be too salty, Ben. We're better than that. But you know, I thought for me, Millie Turner's won the ball because you look where the ball's ended up. It goes that way, not straight. If it goes straight, she's not. So it goes that way. I just think it was just Frank Kirby's just used all her experience. For me,
obviously, I don't think you'll have seen it the other day. Same happened in the Champions League to them, and I thought, do you know what, karma? And they actually got a player sent off. I mean, listen, they won the game, but exactly the same thing. You know, player comes from, angle, side, wherever, gets a tap on the ball, goes to play the ball, and the ref in this instance give the penalty. I mean, the keeper saved it, but she did get a red card. So it's like, it's like I say, it's disappointing that that's the memory that sticks. But like I say, travelled down. We did the speaking of Netflix, we did that Chelsea thing, didn't we? Chelsea was supposed to be doing a documentary that'll be out soon.
Yeah, well, that's what I was on about this, when you're on Netflix thing, but I'm pretty sure it was Amazon Prime,
I thought it was Amazon Prime, but I don't know.
I don't know if they curtain tailed it or because of what happened to that season, because of the Rona and everything. But
I thought it was winding us up. That's why I was joking back. I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah.
I thought it was
my days, man. My days.
No, but yeah, I do like you say. We did that little interview before, and that was about the only good memory from that game.
And then we've got to touch upon it because we mentioned it quite a lot. 22nd of March, COVID. I put in my notes, F's up the season, to put it politely. Because it comes to a whole complete grounds to complete whole, all football at all levels, complete whole. Nobody knows what's going on. Nobody knows what's going to happen to the season. And then I think the 5th of April, I think they came out and said that it definitely suspended the season.
Yeah, so obviously we had that Everton game, didn't we?
After that, mate, I was like, I just wanted to finish the season somehow. If the men could finish the season, why couldn't the women? I didn't understand it at that time, and I was pissed off because I generally believe we could have pushed a bit higher than 4th, because I think, did it go all on points per game or something?
Yeah, average.
You know what I mean? That's fine, but who's to know that you couldn't go up and beat Chelsea at home? Who's to know on our day? You know what I'm saying? But this COVID man is just fucking. Yeah.
I think the thing was for me is that because obviously I think did you make it? I don't think you made Everton, did you? Either the Everton game, the last one.
No, I didn't because I was at Old Trafford.
See, I didn't make it either. So obviously my last one was, in fact, I didn't even do before that. I'm trying to think. My last game was probably that Reading away game at the start of Feb. But like you say, I think obviously caught up with the Everton one on my phone, and then like you said, obviously it got postponed, and then there was like 2-3 weeks, wasn't there, before they made a decision, and they were like, "Oh, we won't fund testing," and it's like you said, well, hang on a minute, we're funding the men's, but we're not funding the women's, and it's like you said, it was a bit of a mess because I remember obviously speaking to a few players sort of privately and outside of football, and they were saying, it's so uncertain. Like, we saw it on social media, they were training, weren't they, at home? And the issue with that was lack of equipment. Club wouldn't give them or didn't have the equipment to give them because the men had it all. And it was like they were keeping fit. and then it was just all for nothing. And then there was obviously a big long break, wasn't there, before they could at least attempt some sort of pre-season.
It's just countries
where it's managed worse. No, go on. I was just reading the comment.
No, so I was just about to say, it's just been madness, mate. And I just felt like gutted, really. Like, you know what I mean? On the one hand, like we had the men's game come back after a few months off, and as much as I enjoy football being back, because I love football, I love United. It's not the same. It's not the same without fans. Even if you can't be there and you watch it on tellies. There's a couple of games I couldn't make in our first WSL season, and I managed to watch it on either telly or on the FA player or something. But at least you always have the fans there to make you feel a little bit more part of it. This whole play without fans is just, I don't know, man.
Should we have a look at that question? How important were these 2 goals versus Everton looking back and that win that got us the 4th? I think for me, pretty big. I mean, I was looking earlier, doing a little bit of research, as you do. Sort of when we got going and when we got the majority of our wins, looking back, we seem to stay in 4th for quite a bit. And I think the lowest we might have dropped is 5th after that Chelsea loss. But we were always in and around 4th. I think, like John says there, how important. I think for me, very important. I think because that, obviously, when it came to the points per game, they did it weighted, didn't they? And the home wins counted for a little bit more and the away, should I say. And I think, obviously, that was an away win. And like John says, it kept us 4th. And I think that probably massively helped. I mean, listen, I didn't look at the published results for the points per game. I just thought it was right. You've come 4th, brilliant, happy days. That's what we wanted. And I think looking back, that could have been important. Obviously, bearing in mind other teams catching us, other teams had game in hand as well. Let's not forget. So I think for me, big goals. Oh, don't get him on BT Sport. Here we go. Tuesday, Robert. Tuesday's show, talking about TV. But yeah, I think for me, to go back to John's question, massive that we won that game, because let's not forget we let Everton back into it. So yeah, for me, massive and important that we stayed 4th, because I'm sure that helped.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. It was just a shame that I couldn't be there, as I said, like in the times at Old Trafford. But I just, mate, part of me is gutted that I didn't get to see that, experience that firsthand, to see Leah's goals, just we're just plugging you on a show here, Matt, 8 p.m. Tuesday, Matt versus BT Sport. For those of you who haven't seen it, Matt's rant on Twitter about BT Sport.
It wasn't a rant. I was just trying to back up my fellow fans and have a go at the club. But anyway, Tuesday's show.
But yeah, as Robert's saying there,
we see my last away there was that Reading one, so and that was
I think that was my last one, Reading as well.
That was that one. So
yeah.
But yeah, like I say, gutted. But shall we move on to this season? A bit more positive. We'll round up the last 10-15 minutes.
Definitely so, lad. Definitely so. I just want, because obviously we've been doing it in other shows. I didn't want to spend too long on this season and rabbiting about stuff that we've already covered in on the YouTube shows, or the previous Twitter live shows and everything. But I just want to get your overall thoughts going into Aston Villa tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think, on a scale of 1 to 10, this season so far has gone for Manchester United women?
I'm going to say 7, and I don't know if that's generous, because, and the reason being, so I'll provide some backup as I always do, is that we had a very good start. We were top January, and that was that. And obviously, we don't sort of throw a Jurgen Klopp into I've had injuries, but we have had key injuries, which has killed us. And I do fully believe a fully fit squad would still be fighting for top. But I think there's still, for me, I say 7 because there's still aspects to work on. I think obviously we had a bit of a wobble with them games. Every club has a wobble. People make mistakes, it's life. But I think obviously the disappointment this season has been the Conti Cup. I think I looked at that group and I was more than confident I was going through. And I think it's disappointing that we've not kind of kicked on to be able to get to a final. And I think Nat said it the other day. We had a show and she said, for me, this year, if we can get Champions League and make a cup final, obviously we won't know till next year now in terms of the FA Cup, then that's a good season. And I'd agree. You know, I said at the start of the season I'd be happy with Champions League. I predicted us to come third. So I think just for sort of that reason, like I say, I think, you know, just based on the cup and maybe a few results, you know, like I say, obviously injuries haven't helped. And it's been an all right season, but there's still things that we can work on, and there always will be. You know, again, lack of clinicalness has still, for me, been an issue. That said, you know, we've picked up points, and I think for me, the signs of a good team are you're picking up points and you're not at your best. But I just think now, especially going into next year in Europe, is that we need to really address this clinicalness, you know. And we need to obviously go back to our defensive solidarity. But listen, signings will come in, and it's second year in the or first full year, we could argue, because we've got three quarters of a season last year. So listen, the building blocks are there and it's coming together. So I'm not too downbeat, but I think, in my view anyway, I think 7's fair, just like I say, just based on just little factors, really. Like I say, mainly just Conti Cup and the fact that it was so disappointing. But, you know, we look to kick on. What are your thoughts on that? Would you agree? Would you go higher or lower?
I'll probably stick about 7.5, maybe. I agree with you, though, a lot on that Conti Cup, because, you know, we've had two fantastic sort of seasons in the Conti Cup. Well, not seasons, should we say. Two fantastic runs in the Conti Cup in the previous couple of seasons before that. I think that's always a trophy that I'd like to win first, you know what I mean? Just because, obviously, that's the first cup final. If we could, you know what I mean? I was thinking if we could lay in a decent run this season, and even if it's just getting the Conti Cup behind us, you know, just getting that first title under Casey Stoney's belt, you know, as it were, you know, just to give us that extra confidence that, yes, we can win trophies. Yes, we can get to big finals. Because we've been ever so close, man. Ever so close.
I think for me, it was just disappointing we didn't even get out of the group. You know, if we'd have got through and come second, no problems. But when we didn't even qualify, it's like...
But overall, mate, I think we learn from defeats. You learn more from defeats than you do from victories, and it's just going to make the team stronger. You know, it's going to make Casey go back to the drawing board and think where we've gone wrong in these certain games. You know, and we will address these problems. You know, it might not be this season, but certainly for next season, you know that she's got a plan in her head. That's the way we're going to fix it.
Yeah,
and I think that's what's so good about Casey Stoney is that she sees the bigger picture. She sees the future. You know, she sees the way forward. You know, she's very, very much always, you know, on to the next one, on to the next one. We concentrate on this one, then on to the next one.
Sort of looking ahead. Yeah.
Looking ahead, yeah. So I just think overall, mate, 7.5 for me. I think 7.5, round that sort of. Because again, we've not been horribly smashed, though, have we? Yeah, City, you could argue.
No, we've not. We've not.
Yeah, that was for me. I've said it before. It was just defensive lapses of concentration. We defended properly. We defended them situations. They weren't scoring. It was our own doing. To be fair, on that game, they didn't massively outplay us. You know, I mean,
you look at it. That was our
rose-tinted spectacles on, but you know.
But that was our biggest league defeat of the season, really. Wasn't it 3-0? Because we've not lost any more than that, and we've not sort of done it another time. So I think, like you say, 7.5 in your thingy, that's fine. But listen, we got Champions League. It's not a disastrous season.
Exactly,
I fully believe that, and we've still got FA Cup. You know, we've got a couple of rounds now where we'll have 4th round and 5th round, and I think it might be quarters if we win in the 5th round, assuming they don't rig the draw and we play City again. So who knows?
And just a quick touch on tomorrow's game, like, you know, I know we did a preview show earlier on in the week, but just a really quick touch on it. What are you expecting from tomorrow? Do you expect it an easiest game, or do you think they're going to come out and try and maybe possibly play on a little bit of a vulnerability at the back, maybe where we've not been as strong as we have been over the course of the season? Do you expect them to come out and play, come out and attack us, or do you think maybe?
I think first and foremost,
go on, Matt. Sorry, lad.
I think first and foremost for me is that, and I know this you're all right saying Casey said this before. No game is easy, and people might think, well, you're playing sort of towards the bottom, but listen, you still got to go out and perform. And we saw that when we kind of lost to Reading. But I think for me, I'm sure they are the only team in the WSL that plays 5 at the back, and that's literally a flat 3 centre halves and 2 fullbacks. So I think first of all we've got to break that down. I think you saw against Bristol, we got 1 goal and then the rest flew, and it was 6-1 win. So I think it's going to be, obviously, I'm not saying 6-1, but I think for me, break them down, use the ball well, look to finish off chances. We should be refreshed. We've got no new injuries, so it's always good to get people back off internationals with nothing fresh. But I think I said on Monday 3-0. I think I said, so I'm sticking with that. Because I think, like I say, obviously we shouldn't underestimate Villa. It will be difficult to break them down. They've got a half decent midfield, Manu Wabuchi. Don't know if you've seen the little Japanese player. Very, very good player. So yeah, it would be interesting. I think for me, it's just about getting the win first and foremost, and then if we can get the goal difference, like I say, get 3 goals, then happy days. I think the main thing is just learning from those defeats, prior to internationals. There you go. Yeah, good after back-to-back defeats. I think all you can do is you can learn. Come in recovered, come in refreshed, and let's just go out there, show what we can do.
Absolutely. I think I said 4 on the preview, didn't I? So I better stick with the 4-0. But it's
don't
just
change. The fans will come for you.
we are a bit slow after international breaks, but because of the back-to-back defeats, I expect Casey to have them really fired up and ready to go. So we shall see. I suppose, as Louis van Gaal always says in his press conferences, we shall see. Looking forward to next week's show then, Matt, because I want to keep this to about an hour-ish if we can, which we'll do all right for time today. You came up with a great idea. I didn't plan later on, but you came up with a great idea earlier on this week, or was it last week? Whatever it were, I can't remember. I've not slept much since working nights all the time. But the goalkeepers, and I was thinking, obviously we're talking about the women's team, but also I think because it's going to be an hour show, that we should talk about goalkeepers in general, because there's massive talking points for both the women and the men's United side. So I think that would be a great topic, and it's something that I love talking about, goalkeeping and goalkeepers. And I think, all right, fair enough, we had a little show touching upon Mary, but I want to touch upon the whole goalkeeping situation at United with the women's team and the men's team. Do you know what I mean? Because obviously you've got Mary signing a new deal. Do we need to bring more experienced keeper in? Emily Ramsey and Fran Bentley, what should happen with them in the summer? And then obviously with the United men's team, who should be number 1, and all that caper.
Yeah.
And we could get into it and everything. Now what I was going to do is I'm going to put a shout out there right now. Just when I get John Foster's comment up there, just a shout out. If anybody wants to come on that show next week, our show next week, 8:00, to talk about the goalkeepers, anyone wants to get involved, drop me or Matt a DM, and we'll get you on. It's time to put guests in now, because I'm pretty sure people are bored of hearing me yabbering on every 5 minutes, and it's about time we get some fresh input and fresh ideas. And I think this goalkeeper thing would be great. Because it is a bit of a talking point. It's not really being talked about all that much, I don't think. You know what I mean? And and I think it's great to touch upon, because there's a position that doesn't really get spoken about enough. Of course, your strikers, your midfielders, they always take, the glory, as it were. But I think that's a top idea, Matt. So if we will, I think we should go run with that one, if you're still up for that.
Absolutely. And I think I'm just going to touch on your point about guests. Even if you want to come on and you may not be able to commit to the hour, I think, if somebody can come on and say, oh, well, I can spare 20 minutes or I can spare 40 minutes or, I think brilliant. You don't have to come on and do the hour. Come on and join us for a little while. And if you, like I say, you can't commit, then, that's fine. But I think, like I say, the more the merrier. Before we wrap up as well, just been tweeted out as well, 2 shows tomorrow, only small shows because it's match day. 11:15, myself, John and Anthony, we will be on a Twitter live, which we always pin on our United WFC page. So Oh, Shiv, if you're watching. Tell you what, I'd love that, John. Get Chamberlain on. But yeah, so tomorrow, 11:15, myself, John and Anthony will be sort of reacting to the team news, bit of a mini build-up. Like I say, not long, because obviously we've got to watch the game. And then halftime thoughts. Monday is myself, isn't it? You, John and Natalie reacting to Villa. Tuesday, we have got myself, John, Gareth and Anthony, and that's a little bit like you said before, and like John mentioned, TV, and it's not so much TV, like it's not a rant as such, but it's a little bit like, for me, we're in a pandemic and fans can't get access to games when it's on BT, and I think for me that was unfair, but listen, that's Tuesday, we'll come to that. So obviously look out tomorrow for our pinned tweet tomorrow evening. We'll put it up, weekly schedule, and we'll look forward to seeing as many of you as possible. Like you said, John, obviously, Ben, goalkeeping special. And like John said, hopefully Chamberlain, but we can touch on Chamberlain, to be fair.
Yeah, and also I just want to quickly add to your point there, though. If you want to come on the show, you don't want to talk about football, you just want to talk about life in general, come on, come have a chat, man, because even though there's a little bit of light at the end of that tunnel, we're still a long way off, man. You know what I mean? Just come and chat to us. It's good to talk. You know what I mean? It doesn't even have to be about United. If you wanted to join in next week about goalkeepers, you want to talk about goalkeepers at your own club. For example, I know we've got a few Chelsea fans watching us. You want to come with your situation with all your goalkeepers. I think you're like the United men's team. You've got more goalkeepers than you've got centre halves. Pretty sure you have. Just come and speak to us, you know. We're here. We don't want to bite your head off. Matt, before we wrap up, where can people find you on the old socials?
Yeah, so as always, mainly Twitter, obviously, because it's the place where you can actually chat, unlike Instagram. But on screen right there at MattCrane15. If you want to have a look at the old Instagram, I've just put a dot in between my first and second name, so Matt.Crane15. But yeah, like you said, come on, we'll have a chat, have a discussion. I know, like you said, I'd had a bit of a discussion with a couple of people, obviously, regarding TV and access to sort of all the fans, like the men's have sort of been open and adapted. But yeah, come and join us, chat United Women, chat England, chat your own team if you want. I do follow other WSL games when we don't play or when we've kicked off early, like tomorrow. I might catch a 2:00. But yeah, come on, like you said, come and chat, come and enjoy it, and obviously give the Barmy Army a follow if you're not doing already as well.
And also on that, give All for United a follow on the old YouTube there, people, give them subscribe. Because without them, we wouldn't have this platform to do this.
Absolutely.
They have some great shows as well. So both for the men's and the women's side. So it's not just inclusively to one specific team. It is all the United teams in general. And my socials, again, Twitter, Benny MUFC, or Benjamin Brazil on Instagram. My YouTube channel's Father Sons of United. I posted a video for a few weeks because I've been lazy, but I will post some more videos on there shortly. So just come and give us a subscribe, come and give us a like. And if you could like and retweet this, by the way, you'd be absolute legends in my eyes. So I'm going to wrap up there because we're waffling on again. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Thank you, Matt, for being the greatest co-host in the world. Oh, by the way, Ant Deck for Gareth. I'm coming for Ant Deck, Ant Deck's Saturday Night Takeaway. It's got nothing on Matt and Ben's Saturday Night Live. And Matt's Saturday Night Live. I can't even say it properly. Oh, people, I'm wrapping up. Thank you very much for joining us, and we shall see you next week. Take care.
Cheers, guys. See you later.